Welcome, my dear viewers. Today we will take a journey through all the 5-year plans that we had between 1951 and 2017. First plan started in 1951, ended on 31st March 1956. It focused on agriculture development, and this focus was given to address any impending food crisis that could result from the large number of in-migration after the partition of the country. Another factor that forced the planners to focus on agriculture development was due to the reallocation of large tract of agricultural land to Pakistan. The first plan based on Harrod-Domar model, a model suggested by economists Roy F. Harrod and F. C. Domar. And they say that a country's future growth depends on high rate of domestic saving, because high rate of domestic saving leads to investment, and investment creates production, and production expands GDP. They also say that growth also depends on low capital output ratio, the amount of capital required to produce 1 unit of output. Low capital output ratio implies highly efficient mode of use of capital assets. The first plan saw setting up of 5 Indian Institute of Technology, setting up of UGC for the regulation of higher education sector, investment in dams and irrigation projects like Bhakra, Hirakud, Mettur. The plan also saw the large-scale land reform measures initiated during the period. The reform measures introduced to bring institutional changes in the ownership of land holdings in India. The family planning program was launched in 1952, thereby gave the country the distinction of being the first country to do so. The Imperial Bank of India was nationalized and renamed as the State Bank of India in 1955. With regard to growth, the first plan did very well. It achieved 3.5% annual average growth rate against the target of 2.1%. So good GDP growth and GDP per capita growth was accompanied by a good performance of the agriculture sector, which could avert the food crisis or food shortage situation in the economy. The foreign exchange reserve of the country, the reserve of foreign currencies, also saw an increase during the plan. Critics pointed out to the neglect of industrial development during the first 5-year plan as a failure. If we move to the second 5-year plan, the focus shifted from agriculture development to industrial development, particularly the development of basic and heavy industries. The second 5-year plan was based on Mahalanobis model, a famous statistician who advocated the case of investing in basic and heavy industries. C. Mahalanobis, who also established the Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, in 1931. During the second plan, we saw setting up of 3 public sector iron and steel plants at Rourkela, Bhilai, and Durgapur. Besides those 3 iron and steel plants, many heavy chemicals, heavy engineering and machine building industries were set up. Investments were made in hydroelectric power projects. This was the period where the 1956 industrial policy was announced, and also government took the goal of establishing a socialistic pattern of society. The second 5-year plan more or less achieved the growth target. So we can say that GDP growth was satisfactory, and also it led to the expansion of basic and heavy industries in India. But the investments that were required for the development of basic and heavy industries were of higher volume, and it led to excessive borrowings, because many of these requirements were also imported, and due to excessive borrowings and excessive imports, the country faced the problem of external payment crisis, shortage of foreign exchanges, and use of deficit financing to finance these projects as well created the problem of inflation. Deficit financing is always inflationary, because when the governments borrow from the RBI prints currencies and provide the loans. Thereby, the money supply in the economy straightway increases, but not corresponding increase in goods and services that we see in the economy. Third plan focused on making India self-reliant and self-generating economy, or self-sufficient economy. Self-reliant, mobilizing enough financial resources to meet the needs of the country. Self-generating or self-sufficient economy, to produce to the extent possible the goods and services within the domestic economy. The new term that we are using at the moment is Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-generating or self-sufficient economy. The third plan was based on the proposal set by D.R. Gudgill, then Deputy Chairman of the Planning Commission. Gudgill was of the opinion that agriculture development would enhance the food grain production in the country to meet the needs of the ever-increasing population in the country, and also dependence on foreign countries for the supply of food grain items. Hence, the second plan focused on agriculture development as well as industrial development. We saw the disputes with our neighboring countries, China and Pakistan, leading to full-scale wars in 1962 with China and 1965 with Pakistan on the western border. These two wars, to a great extent, destabilized the political administration, the bureaucracy, and also brought economic instability in the country. And we could see the effect of instability in the performance of the GDP. Against the target of 5.6% per annum, the achieved growth rate was only 2.8% per annum. Despite the hit on the GDP growth, on the positive side, we saw many cement and fertilizer plants being set up, along with some other basic and heavy industries. And also during this period, as the country realized the need to develop the agriculture sector, and after seeing the success of the intensive area development program 1960-61, which was carried out in 7 selected districts, and then 8 more districts were added, this Green Revolution strategy was extended to 114 districts under the name Intensive Agricultural Areas Program in 1965. The third plan undoubtedly suffered due to the two full-scale wars that the country had to fight. The two wars of 1962 and 65 had such a destabilizing effect on the political and bureaucratic administration in the country that the focus of the planners shifted from preparing the fourth plan to stabilize the economy and the administration. And as a result, the 3 years period, 66 to 69, saw implementation of 3 annual plans, 66, 67, 67, 68, and 68, 69. This period is popularly known as the period of plan holiday in Indian planning history. And as I have said, the immediate target objective was to normalize the situation, stabilize the administration. And since prices were also rising very rapidly, the immediate concern was to arrest the price rise, and also due to the balance of payments crisis on the external front, Indian currency was devalued during this period. Now, for non-economics background students, devaluation means a deliberate decision of the government to reduce the value of domestic currency in comparison to the foreign currency like the US dollar. So a situation of 75 rupees for $1 becoming 76 rupees for $1 is termed as devaluation. Devaluation takes place for foreign countries. Indian goods and services become cheaper. The foreign countries can get more goods and services by spending the same amount of money because Indian currency has become weaker. And for Indian people, imports become costlier because we have to pay more money to get the goods and services from foreign countries. Thereby, it encourages exports and discourages imports, leading to improvement in the balance of payments situation. During these annual plans, government decided to extend the Green Revolution strategy to the entire country. The High-Yielding Varieties Program, implemented during the Kharif season of 1966-67, yielded many positive results. And as the name suggests, High-Yielding Varieties Programs was a program where the government experimented by using the HYV seeds, high-yielding variety seeds, developed in the labs in place of traditional seeds. And we know that lab-developed seeds are more productive. And this program enhanced the level of production and productivity in the agriculture sector. As a result, government decided to extend This strategy of using HYB seeds, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides with regular supply of water to the entire country. The 11th five-year plan document says that the GDP growth rate achieved during the planned holiday period was 3.9%. The fourth five-year plan of 1969-74 tried to achieve economic growth with price stability and also for progressive achievement of self-reliance. This was the plan where we saw a massive nationalization drive by the central government, whereby on 19 July 1969, 14 private sector banks were taken over by the government of India. This was also the period where India again had a war with Pakistan, now on the eastern border. At the time of liberation of East Pakistan, the FERA was passed in 1973, the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. The growth performance during the fourth five-year plan was not good. Against the target of 5.7%, the country could achieve only an annual growth of 3.2%. On the positive side, there was improvement in the performance of the agriculture sector. The food grain production crossed 100 million tons mark during this period. And also the country saw extensive investment in health infrastructure. But besides poor performance on GDP front, there was a problem with regard to balance of payment situation, and also the industrial sector didn't perform up to the mark during the fourth plan. See, the fifth plan had only 4 years, and we'll see. The fifth plan focused on employment generation, poverty alleviation, extension of justice, and achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture production. Important development that took place during this period was the conduct of nuclear test at Pokhran, Rajasthan on 18th May 1974 under the code name Smiling Buddha. On the political front, one notable development that took place in the entire political history of independent India was the imposition of national emergency under Article 352 of the Constitution. If we look at the economic growth rates, then there was not much deviation from the targeted growth rate. So GDP growth was satisfactory. The focus was on poverty alleviation, Garibi Hatao. The fifth plan saw the implementation of 20-point program, minimum needs program to benefit. This was the plan when the planners decided to move away from the firm belief in trickle-down theory to a system of direct affirmative action on poverty alleviation. And the prices rose rapidly during this period. There were unemployment issues, and also there were administrative issues. Mainly after the withdrawal of the national emergency in 1977, elections were held in 1977 and Janata Party government came to power under Morarji Desai as the Prime Minister. And Janata Party government decided to terminate the fifth five-year plan 1 year in advance. So it terminated the fifth five-year plan on 31st March 1978 instead of the scheduled and on 31st March 1979. Janata Party government then came up with its own five-year plan for the period 78 to 83. Due to internal infighting, Morarji Desai had to resign in 1979, and his successor Chaudhary Charan Singh could not gain the majority in the protest in the parliament. New elections were held again in 1980. Mrs. Indira Gandhi again came back to power. After that, the new government under Mrs. Indira Gandhi decided to terminate Janata Party 5-year plan. That's why these 2 years are considered as annual plans. Due to the political instability and uncertainty, what we saw was a negative growth in the GDP. The sixth plan prepared by the Congress High government for the period 1980-85 continued to focus on removal of poverty with expansive rural development programs. We saw the beginning of economic liberalization, though through piecemeal measures, but government started to come up with policy measures to liberalize the economy. And many said at that time that we see the beginning of end of Nehruvian socialism, or moving away from the goal of achieving a socialistic pattern of society. 1982, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development, the Apex Bank for Agricultural Credit Control, was set up. 6 more commercial banks were nationalized. In the foreign sector investment in Indian economy, a major step forward was the rolling out of the first car from the Maruti Suzuki plant in 1983. Maruti Suzuki, a joint venture between Government of India and Suzuki Corporation of Japan. On GDP growth front, the sixth plan did very well. The sixth plan continued to invest heavily in various rural development, employment generation, poverty alleviation programs like Integrated Rural Development Program, National Rural Employment Program, development of women and children in rural areas, rural landless employment guarantee program, etc. Persistent rapid population growth remained a problem. I have intentionally tried to avoid putting certain long-term problems on problems like population growth, unemployment reduction, poverty alleviation, inequality reduction, environmental degradation. Each and every plan had to focus on these issues on a sustained basis. And because of their dynamism, the way these problems unfold, it's very difficult to put a check on these problems in a 5-year time framework. During the national emergency, the administration tried to initiate a series of measures to put a check on rapid population growth in India. But we didn't see any positive effect on population growth during the immediate 5-year plan. Public sector enterprises that were set up during the 50s, 60s, 70s, performance did not match with the investments made during the preceding plans. The balance of payments situation worsened during the 6th plan. The 7th plan focused on raising economic productivity, particularly production of food grains and generation of employment opportunities through social justice, or you can say economic attainment with social justice. The Jawahar Rozgar Yojana JRY was launched during this period by merging the already implemented NREP and RLEGP schemes. Indira Awas Yojana was launched during this period, and also we saw the liabilities in the external sector increasing during this period, and half of those liabilities came from the public sector. On GDP growth front, the economy did well, of course. Against the target of 5% average annual growth rate, the plan achieved 5.6% growth rate. Besides the GDP growth rate, we saw actions initiated to promote and expand the private sector, and also the exports of the country increased during this period to help the economy to tide over the balance of payments situation to a great extent. Excessive borrowings always increase the fiscal deficit, and exactly that happened during the 7th plan. The fiscal deficit started mounting. Despite performance on export front, the current account deficit on balance of payments account was still quite high because imports continued to be on the higher side. Plan failed to improve the performance of many of the Sikh public sector enterprises. This could not be removed during the 7th plan, and the efforts to initiate reform measures in the beginning of the 7th plan started to peter out towards the end of the plan. All these shortcomings of the 7th plan led us to economic crisis of serious magnitude of 1990-92. The crisis was of such a magnitude that the 8th five-year plan could not be prepared. The government machinery was focused on addressing the economic crisis. Crisis reflected by very high fiscal deficit, high inflation rate, high balance of payments deficit, and consequently the fast depletion of the foreign exchange reserve. Hence, the focus of the government shifted to mitigating the crisis and stabilizing the economy. Instead of the 8th plan starting from 1990, we had two annual plans, 1990-91, 91-92. And Congress High Government under the leadership of P.V. Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh had to come up with a series of drastic economic reform measures to stabilize the Indian economy and to put back the Indian economy on growth trajectory again. The growth rate achieved during these 2 years was somewhat low, standing at 3.4%. The 8th plan started in 1992. Besides implementing the reform measures, the 8th plan was to develop the human resources and utilize them for the benefit of the economy, and saw the government initiatives, government actions to implement the various reform measures announced by the Finance Minister through the Industrial Policy 1991. They were divided into three broad categories: liberalization measures, privatization measures, and globalization measures, popularly known as LPG policy. And when we say LPG policy, one name comes to our mind was the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, late P.N. Seshan. He was the person responsible for popularizing this term. India also signed the WTO agreement in 1994, and once WTO was set up on 1st January 1995, India became a member of this World Trade Body. Due to the opening up of the economy, liberalization of the economy, an inflow of foreign investment, technology, organizational expertise, Indian economy bounced back from satisfactory growth rate of 6.5%, exceeding the targeted growth rate of 5.5%. 6%. And when the GDP performs well, that implies that the primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors of the economy also perform on. The EAT plan also saw growth in exports and thereby reduction in the current account deficit of balance of payments. Since economy took a U-turn and moved towards the leading role of the private sector in the future growth journey, government started reducing public sector investment, particularly in the industries related investments. So many of the loss-making public sector units were closed down, they were sold to the private sector, and government started disinvesting in many of them. India is a country of huge, latent, unexplored, unused talent. The plan recognized this and stated the mission to try to use the unused, unexplored economic potential of the country, be it in the form of human resources or physical resources. Regime import licensing on consumer goods was done away with. Golden Quadrilateral project aimed at connecting Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata, and Mumbai, the four metropolitan cities, whereas north-south and east-west corridors tried to connect Kashmir with Kanyakumari and Dwarka in Gujarat to Silchar in Assam. And it was a massive project of the government to improve the road connectivity in India. However, the GDP target achieved during the 9th plan was not par with the target of 6.5%, primarily due to the poor performance of the primary and secondary sector, though service sector did well, as evident from 7.8% growth of the service sector industry during the 9th plan. Another positive development was the boost for infrastructure development, particularly road connectivity. The failure side, GDP growth target was not achieved, investment targets were also not achieved, and there was huge revenue deficit during the 9th plan, and also the fiscal deficit was on the higher side. Aimed at achieving economic growth with equity and social justice. One important scheme that was launched which could help the economy to achieve the goal of equity and social justice to some extent was the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, whereby government gave the guarantee to the rural people of providing 100 days of wage employment, and thereby trying scheme was also launched during this period. The scheme which focused on developing rural infrastructure on areas such as irrigation, drinking water, electrification, roads, housing, and rural telephony. The National Rural Health Mission was also introduced during the 10th plan. The GDP growth performance was satisfactory as the target was more or less achieved, and on the external front the country did very well, whereby the country saw its foreign exchange reserve crossing 200 billion marks. The 10th plan on the failure front failed to make a positive impact on the lives of marginal and landless farmers. And also the 10th plan saw power crisis to some extent, and the power crisis affected the growth performance of the industries and many other economic activities in the country. Faster and more inclusive growth was the focus theme of the 11th plan. 11th plan was marred by the global recession that started in 2007-8. The global recession that was triggered by the US financial crisis. Some of the international giants like Lehman Brothers, AIG crumbled during this period in the US, and this US triggered financial crisis affected the entire world economy, including India. And we could see the effect of global recession on growth performance. The target could not be achieved. On the positive side, the agriculture sector did very well to achieve the targeted 4% growth rate. So was the performance of the service sector. But the 11th plan saw the problem of price rise raising its head again. Expanded the theme of the 11th plan by adding sustainable growth to the faster and more inclusive growth focus of the 11th plan. What's the point of having GDP growth at a faster rate if it is not inclusive and if it is not sustainable in the long run? That's why the 12th plan tried to have faster economic growth, but with inclusiveness and sustainability elements embraced in it. The National Health Mission was introduced during this plan, which subsumed the existing National Rural Health Mission and National Urban Health Mission. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Make in India, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, Digital India, Skill India, Smart Cities Project, PM Mudra Yojana, and many more schemes were launched during the 12th plan to benefit the Indian economy and its people. The 12th plan could not achieve the targeted growth rate of 8%. And the planners, they realized the impending economic recession and its effect on the growth performance of the 12th plan. That's why the initially set target of 9% was revised to 8%, keeping in mind the international recession happening at that time. And that recession had its effect on the growth performance of Indian economy. On the positive side, we saw stability on price front, better performance on external account, and also better performance of the service sector. GDP target issue for the 12th plan, but the year of recession in the initial 2-3 years of the 12th five-year plan made it difficult for the plan to achieve the growth target, though the economy picked up during the last 2 years of the plan. The agriculture sector particularly did not perform well. Also affected the growth performance of the economy. Another drawback that we saw with the 12th plan was the shortfall in the collection of revenues for both central and state plans. The projected central expenditures and the state and union territory expenditures could not be met during the 12th plan. Five-year plans and the few annual plans, they contributed to the growth and development of Indian economy, of course to a varying degree, and enabling the economy to move from near stagnation situation 7 to 9% growth rate during the last 2-3 5-year plans. that these plans have created the building blocks of the economy. The economy ready to launch itself to higher trajectory of economic growth and development. Higher trajectory with equity and justice. If we can, pandemic is over and the outlook of the whole world economy changes towards positive future, there is every chance that Indian economy and many other developed pick up the growth momentum.